Good morning, everyone. This is Liz Cross from psychiclizcross.com. And this morning, I'm just so excited to tell you all, we have Mr. Brad Yates. Now, let me give you his background for those of you that don't know, which I'm sure most of you do. He's very well known internationally for his creative and often humorous use of the emotional freedom technique. Brad is the author of the best-selling children's book, The Wizard's Wish. He's also the co-author of the bestseller, Freedom at Your Fingertips. He's been featured as an expert in the film, The Tapping Solution. He's also been a presenter at a number of events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success. He's done many teleseminars with The Secret. You've been around the globe, Brad, and most impressively is your YouTube channel, where you have over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and they have been viewed over 40 million times. There's no better introduction than that. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I've used your videos. I recommend your videos. So the warmest welcome to you, Brad Yates.
Thank you very much, Liz. I'm very blessed to get to do what I do, and 40 million. It's a good start, you know.
A good start. You're like on par with Mr. Beast, if you know who that is.
Well, I'm not even close to being on par with Mr. Yeah, I just saw a news story about him today. Yeah, no, I'm quite a ways away from that, but it's a nice headed that way.
You are headed that way, and I just love tapping. So for those of our audience out there that do not know, please can you explain the emotional freedom technique?
Absolutely. So emotional freedom techniques, shortened to EFT, and actually a lot of us call the work that we do tapping, because we are literally tapping with our fingertips on key points primarily around the face and torso. And if you're not familiar with it, and that sounds a little weird, just stick with it for a moment, because there's a very good reason why we do it. It's based originally on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they have said there's a flow of energy through the body called qi. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck for some reason, then we don't feel so good. And when we don't feel good, we don't think as clearly, we don't make the best choices, and all kinds of unfortunate consequences from that. So in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would stick needles in these key points along these pathways that are called meridians, and to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. Now we're just using our fingertips to tap to stimulate those same points, get that energy flowing better. And this is, for thousands of years has been used effectively. And we have a growing body of scientific evidence validating that EFT downregulates the nervous system. It lowers stress. We have seen it with chemical studies. Cortisol, which is one of the main stress hormones, dramatically reduced from the tapping. We have fMRI studies showing the brain activity and how it calms down after tapping. So it's for a long time we've known that it works, but it's very exciting that we have this scientific evidence showing, oh yeah, there it is for the skeptics. we can see that tapping down regulates stress so that we can feel much better. And when you consider that most, if not all, of the issues that trouble us are either at least caused by or worsened by stress, then you can see that having a simple stress relief tool like this can be beneficial in pretty much any area of our lives.
That's amazing. And thank you for that explanation. I'm so nervous to talk to you. I feel like I should be tapping while you're talking.
It's always an option.
That's true. That's very true. Now
I'm just a guy who taps on his face for a living, Liz.
Yes, but you're very good at it. You're very good at it. Now, tell us, how did you end up, or how did you discover tapping for yourself?
How does a grown man find himself tapping on his face for a living? Well, so I actually started out as an actor and had traveled the world doing theater, went to Hollywood to become a movie star. And it's actually, I just this week, I actually released my old demo reel on my YouTube channel so people could see, oh, that's what Brad looked like when he was an actor. But I'm not a doctor, but I played one on TV. That video's out there too. So I gone to Hollywood to be a movie star, as one does. And while I was there, I met a woman, fell in love, got married. And when our first child was on the way, I thought, I might need a backup career to help support my family because I was not quite earning enough as an actor. And I'd always been fascinated with the power of the mind. And I saw an ad for hypnotherapy school. And I thought that would be really cool. I'd always been interested in hypnosis. So I trained and went through this program called the Hypnosis Motivation Institute in Los Angeles. It's a full year of study and pretty intense program. Had supervised hours under this faculty, and so this. I was telling you earlier about when I started out. My first couple of clients as hypnotherapist were past life regression sessions.
Mm.
So that was very interesting. And so I was building my hypnotherapy practice while still pursuing my acting career. And after a couple of years, when our second child was on the way, I realized that as much as I loved acting, this personal development work was really my calling. This is what I was meant to be doing. And so we left Los Angeles, moved to Northern California to be closer to our families. And through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this energy psychology conference going on where this guy, Gary Craig, was teaching this tapping technique called EFT. And I thought, all right, I'm game. Let's go find out about this. And so I took a workshop with Gary, this full day workshop, and just found it fascinating, especially when he had us tapping on chocolate cravings. And he gave everybody a piece of chocolate and said, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want this? And I'm like, 8, 9. I was a bit of a chocoholic at the time. And after a few minutes of tapping, I could not eat the chocolate and did not eat chocolate. I think it was like 2 years after that. I recovered, so I got better. But that fascinated me, that just in a few moments from tapping on my face, I could not eat chocolate. I mean, it tasted disgusting when I tried to take a bite of it. And in my acting training, one of the things I had done is I had gone to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College. So when people are first introduced to tapping, a lot of them feel resistant because it looks a little strange.
Mm-hmm.
Having been to clown college, it's like, bring it on. This is not the strange thing I've ever done. I was in a position to be a little more open-minded. So after that conference, and I took further training, and I assisted Gary at some of his workshops. So I went back, and in my next couple of hypnotherapy sessions, I at the very end, it's like, so we've got a few more minutes. I want to introduce this little technique that I've been learning. And little by little, they became tapping sessions with a little bit of hypnosis at the end. And then a couple of years later, YouTube happened. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was a tapping video that people could use to start their day? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I intended to do. I was like, I'll put one video on YouTube and that's it. And 6 months later, I had another idea. I thought, well, I should have one to end the day, and I'll call it Tap of the Evening. And then I'm done. And then another idea came, and then another one. And then, as you said, there's over 1,000 videos now.
That's very impressive. I like the story. I like the progression of how you got into tapping. That's very interesting. And I always find that people that end up in the sphere of tapping, sometimes they don't even know why they're there or how they got there, but they know they have to be there. And it's so transformative, sorry, to their lives. It's just absolutely amazing. What success stories have you personally had?
What successes have I gained from tapping?
Yes, yes.
I I have a career that I love. I get to travel.
Yeah.
um, I My life is awesome. So
Yeah,
that was
that's great.
I tapping was tapping's been very, very good to me.
Mhm.
I'm pretty darn healthy in body, mind, and spirit in life. So it has allowed me to meet all kinds of cool people like you. It's like I get to do all sorts of great opportunities show up for me. And so that, it's not like my life was a total mess before I found tapping. I
Mhm.
had good things happen, but I certainly did not have the success that I've enjoyed since I started learning how to tap and clearing blocks to success. My did not have tremendous success as an actor, and that's fine. It's interesting. When I released my acting video, a couple of people asked, "Why did you give up acting?" And I said, "I was drawn to something that had a greater pull for me."
Mhm.
And I look back now, I love what I do so much that there isn't any actor out there that I go, yeah, I would trade this for that career.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. And what about manifesting? Have you been able to manifest anything in your life or anything in particular through the EFT?
Well, to some extent, we manifest pretty much everything we have. Some of them have been more deliberate. I, years and years ago, when I had gotten a Prius, and I said, "Yeah, I manifested this. I wanted a Prius," and someone said, "But didn't you buy it from a dealership?" I said, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. Manifesting, it doesn't just count as manifesting if you close your eyes, say, I want this, and when you open them, it's just materialized there."
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's we're manifesting things, but it may also take a lot of work. It may require money. It's not like, well, if you paid for it, you didn't manifest. It's like, no, I manifested the opportunity and the means for this to happen. So yeah, as I look around my little office here that I love, and my house, my our new putting green that got finished yesterday, it's
Wow.
like all kinds of the trips, the workshops I've been able to do in different parts of the world. Um, all kinds of. I'm actually at a place right now where it's like, okay, I have pretty much everything that I now
Right.
what's next? What I want to manifest?
Well, yeah, right. And I think that is a big part of manifesting as well, that you have to manifest things in such a way that you reach a point of contentment, right? So I get people that come through to me, as I'm sure you're aware, they come through to you as well. I want to be a billionaire and I want to be a billionaire yesterday. And
Yeah.
I'm going to use tapping to get there. And if it doesn't work by Friday, bearing in mind today is Tuesday, by Friday, if it's not working and I'm not a billionaire, I'm on to the next quick fix.
Right. Right.
And it's a problem. It's a problem when people are trying to manifest. I think that the biggest thing that people have to understand about manifesting is, you know, it's a process. Like everything in life, it is a total process. And think about all the learning and all the information and the spiritual growth you have gained from trying to manifest. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If we just, magically snapped our fingers and got whatever we wanted, we would not grow as human beings. There's a reason why things take, and it's not, we often make things take longer than they need to,
Mhm.
but it's we learn so much from the growth process and from the all the different things that we learn. So if it just, if we're born walking and talking,
Right.
it's like a butterfly has to strain to get out of the cocoon. It has to be that there has to be some challenge. But we have this idea of, if it takes, when we look at hard work, and hard sounds like painful to us. So it's like, okay, well, we're talking about semantics here, because some of what we do could be looked at as hard work, but we love it.
Right.
When I would go down to the gym and I'd see people lifting weights, and they're just grunting and grimacing and sweating and having the time of their lives. So it's like, for what one person thinks of as hard work, another person is like, this is what it's about. And we would miss out on too much of that if everything was just handed to us so easily. So we may block ourselves, our higher selves, maybe the one making it take longer, saying, no, we'd miss out on so much if it happened too easily.
That's exactly right. You've summed it up perfectly. Now, and you have a mission. When we're here on the earth plane, we're here for a reason. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to experience bad things and struggle. And there's a reason for that. But oftentimes people get stuck and trapped in the struggle. So their anxiety traps them. Their fear traps them. Their phobias trap them. Their lack of confidence traps them. I mean, do you believe that the EFT has loosened the trap and allowed them to break free?
And that's exactly what it does, is it calms down that stress response, where we have what is often a misunderstanding. I like to call them misunderstandings. We have beliefs and programming that are based on misunderstandings about why something is going to be dangerous for me. And so we have this stress response, and it could be just about change, because as human beings, we like homeostasis. We want things to be the same. We want them to be comfortable. Even if our lives are crap, it's our crap. We know where it goes. I dealt with it yesterday. It's the same old crap. Thank goodness, because I know how to deal with that. So that person who says, I want to be a billionaire, you don't have the faintest idea of what to do with $1 billion. Part of you is saying that, the 5 to 10% of the conscious mind, but the other 90 to 95% is going, please make sure that never happens.
That's exactly right. It's the subconscious and the soul that will always override the conscious mind. So the conscious mind can say, hey, this is what I want. What's that song? Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? Right? The conscious mind is saying that, but it's not on the same level and the same plane as the soul and the subconscious, and they will override the conscious mind. And I find that, with tapping, and the more that I do it, you start to notice the separation of the subconscious, which is our personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions that are held in there somewhere based upon our framework as a child, the energy that was laid down within us, right? And then the soul has a well-defined path, that it has things that it wants to achieve. And then we have this thing called the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is like, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and you're not going to tell me. And then you find that people get in a battle with their soul. And what I find with that is that the soul always wins. The conscious mind is relatively unintelligent compared to the soul, which brings me to this question. We're making, I suppose, a conscious mind decision to tap. So how do you find that conscious mind decision to tap then aligns with the soul, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. Because there's a part of us that knows we deserve more than we're experiencing. A line that I'll often use in tapping is, I'm holding myself back, tap, 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 and thinking that I can't have more, but part of me knows better. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here tapping on my face right now.
Right.
So it's that, for me, it's that soul or higher self is saying, okay, these fears that are stopping us are not the truth. They're based on misunderstandings. So please, let's do the work to clear the irrational stress. And it's not, I often say, it's not that we're bad or stupid or weak or lazy. We just have programming telling us that something is not safe for us. If we've been raised by parents who have said rich people are bad, they're greedy, you should never have more than just enough to get by, because a lot of parents have taught that because that's what they were taught by their parents and so on for generations, then someone is going to look at a money-making opportunity and they're going to go into a stress response, and they're going to blow the interview or not show up, or they're going to sabotage it. I like to say that self-sabotage is simply misguided self-love.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to protect ourselves, but it's often based on a misunderstanding. So the tapping allows us to calm down that stress so that we can look at it and go, oh, that's just something my parents said, and that's not necessarily the truth. And I don't have to be afraid of that.
Wow. And what do you think about somebody who comes to you and says, I'm so anxious, I'm full of anxiety, I've been like this my entire life, I have no idea why? I'm sure you've come across that many, many times. What do you say to them?
Well, I'll start tapping with them.
Right.
let's first try to calm down the anxiety, and then we'll start exploring and looking at what in particular might cause that, and we'll try to explore whatever might be behind the anxiety. And it could be all kinds of beliefs from childhood. There could be they might have generalized anxiety disorder. There's all kinds of things that might figure into it. And I'm not a licensed therapist, so I'm careful about my scope of practice in terms of dealing with DSM-4, 5, whatever it is now, clinical things like anxiety. But in terms of being able to help, at least to start with, to deal with the symptoms and the discomfort, we'll try to get in there and start doing some tapping as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, I come across that as well, that I'm not a licensed therapist, but then I have people that have said, Liz, I have been going to a therapist for 20 years and I don't feel better. Yep. And through the tapping, it's like a breakthrough moment for them, because it's finally something is starting to move. They've just been stuck for all these years. You can sit there with a therapist rehashing your childhood over and over and over, but it's still there. And so I find the tapping is phenomenal at moving that energy around and finally getting rid of it.
Yeah. And it's really encouraging to see so many therapists incorporating tapping into their work, because we're a mind body. It's not just the mind or just the body. It's so to deal with both sections, and finding so many psychotherapists who have that expertise and skill at the psychological level, now incorporating that somatic component, and so that their results can become so much greater.
Yes, I agree with you. Absolutely. And the other thing about the tapping is you can do it on your own, right? The simple EFT solution, you can do it on your own. Okay, you can watch your video. And I tell you, I've recommended your video, I don't know how many times, multiple videos. I'm like, go to Brad Yates, But you don't have to be in a therapist's office. You don't have to be in a tapping circle. You can literally do it on your own. And
Wherever
I
you
think,
are.
yeah, and I think that's what's so amazing about it. You're not waiting for your next appointment with a therapist. You're putting on YouTube, you're tuning into one of your videos, and oh, I feel fearful today, or I woke up feeling bad. Well, now I find, Brad, that the basis of all healing is self-love. What do you think to that?
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Years ago it hit me. It's like, oh, my real job is just teaching people to love themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
And ultimately, what we're, with the tapping is we're clearing away the reasons why we couldn't or shouldn't.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
when we say, I want this in my life, it's like, hey, when you love somebody, you want to give them the best life. You want to give them whatever you can. So it makes sense that, oh, I'll treat myself much better. I'll give myself a better life the more I love myself.
Mhm. And the more you love yourself, the more that you are able to love those around you.
Amen.
Yeah.
The more you see yourself as worthy of love, the more easily you see other people as worthy of love.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Yes, absolutely. There's so many people that are not able to love.
Yeah.
Have you come across people that were not able to express emotion, not able to love, but through the EFT, they then transform their lives into this very loving being? I mean, have you had people like that?
Yeah. And I mean, one of the great things about YouTube is being able to reach so many people and seeing the comments, on a daily basis, people talking about, I struggled to care about myself and it's changing, and people saying that they're learning to love themselves in a new way. It's very gratifying.
It is. It really is. I see those comments on your videos as well. It's just amazing. And then there's some people that come to tapping and they don't feel comfortable with tapping. They don't like it. They think it's weird. It's strange. They're not comfortable doing it. What advice would you give to them?
Uh, just keep at it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
um, you know, People are going to have whatever resistance they have. And it's something that people become more comfortable with. And it's also very gratifying when I get comments from people saying, when I first saw this, I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And I just ridiculed it. And now I do it every day. And it's made such a difference for me. Some of the biggest skeptics become some of the biggest fans.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. That is so true. Well, I wanted you to come today so I could introduce you to the CTT, which is consciousness transformation techniques, and you're totally open to it. So I thank you for that. The CTT was actually born out of the EFT, which is what you do. And that was, of course, developed by Gary Craig. George Duisman, he created the CTT, and he is unlike anybody I have ever met. he's he's an amazing person. He started off with the EFT, and he thought, there's something to this. So then he formed a tapping group, and he and a group of friends in Yelm, Washington, would get together and tap, doing the same thing that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got creative. And he said, I'm wondering if I can send a thought to someone. So he did his tapping just like you do. And he sent a friend who was very far away, he hadn't spoken to in a long time, a thought. The next morning, the friend calls him and says, I was just thinking about you. And this amazing idea came into my head and I wanted to talk to you about it. And the light bulb went off and he says, aha, there's something to this tapping. So he continued with the groups. And one time in the group, when they were tapping for insights and guidance, they got information that bilateral arm tapping would be the way to go forward. So if you can imagine, like, the best description that somebody says is like Dracula laying in the coffin, right, with the arms crossed across their chest, and you have your right hand on your left arm and your left hand on your right arm, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they started doing the Gary Craig EFT, but they started doing it bilateral arm tapping. Now, that actually turned out to be very powerful. So George then said, there's something more to this. So he was calling loads of friends, and he was quite popular. And he talked to a friend down in Miami, and this lady, her cat had died. She was distraught. She hadn't been out of bed for days. And George says, just tap with me. So they started tapping, and she felt a little better, but not desperately, not making these massive shifts where she was ready to jump out of bed and, live life again. So he called her again a few days later, and somehow during their tapping, he got an image of her cat, but it was in a past life. Now, George was not a psychic. He was not a medium, nor was he a psychic medium, tarot card reader, anything like that. But he had this image come through of this cat picking through a bomb site, a place that had been bombed, and the cat was looking for its owner, and it was starving on the street. So he tuned into the emotions of that cat, and then he started tapping. And during that period, he found a different script, and you'll probably recognize the script. I think some of it is from Gary Craig, some of it's from somebody else, and some of it is George's script. But he tapped away that past life of the cat. The next day, she was able to get out of bed. She felt like a renewed person. She says, I don't know what happened, but something left my body. I then was overcome with joy. And this is how the CTT started. And so for 12 years, George had an open Zoom room, and he would sit there and people would come into the Zoom room and he was just tapping with them. He didn't even have a bank account. They couldn't pay him for the sessions, right? He just sat there tapping all day. And I was at one of my lowest points in my life, and a friend of mine who I speak to on a regular basis, thank God, he said, look, I came across this guy, George Duisman. I think you should show up in his Zoom room and see what you guys can do. He does tapping. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And I turned up, I met George, and I said, look, I want to start tapping right away. And because I'm a psychic medium, for those of you out there that don't know who I am a psychic medium. I immediately tuned into past lives for me. And at the end of the session, it was like profound. And so that's why I wanted to see how you would take to that today and follow the word. Would you be able to do a round with me today? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Great. Now, is there anything in your life that is, bothering you at the moment? Probably. Probably not.
It's funny. I'd seen on your website about flying. I just recently was feeling resistant. Now, part of it may just be that we traveled so much over the last several months that part of me is like, just stay off planes for now. Just stay home.
Yeah. Well, fly, especially with all the things going on in the planes at the moment, if somebody sneezes at the back of the plane, you're coughing at the front. So here's his wording. So if you would please cross your arms if that description was suitable. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
yeah.
if it wasn't.
No, there are a couple of there are some other techniques that have some havening, and there's another one that's a tapping, a bilateral tap, and I can't remember now who the gentleman was. So there are a lot of people who find that that's very beneficial. So yeah. So
Oh,
yep,
wow. Well, it is. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And so I'm just going to go old school Gary Craig here. And I'm just going to ask you this question. On a scale of 0 to 10, if you had to get on a plane this afternoon, how much would you not want to? So on a scale of 0 to 10.
Let's say about a 6.
A 6. Great. Okay. If you could tap, and what I do is I do 1 and 1. Some people like to go left, 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 right, 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 right. I don't do that. I like to do 1 and 1. It keeps it. Okay. If you would repeat after me, I just feel so nervous that I'm leading and you're tapping with me. That's like crazy. Never in a million years would I have thought that. All right. So let's go. There's a part of me that knows how to.
There's a part of me that knows how to.
Let go and heal.
Let go and heal.
This 6th level hesitation.
This 6th level hesitation.
I do not want to get on an airplane.
I don't want to get on an airplane.
I don't feel like going anywhere.
I don't feel like going anywhere.
I have a little bit of anxiety when I think about it.
I have a little bit of anxiety when I think about it.
I'm burned out with traveling.
I'm burned out with traveling.
I never get to stay home enough.
I never get to stay home enough.
That part of my being is willing to inform.
That part of my being is willing to inform.
The rest of me now.
The rest of me now.
It's doing so now.
It's doing so now.
With unlimited love, grace, and ease.
With unlimited love, grace, and ease.
My mind, body, and spirit.
My mind, body, and spirit.
Are receiving the love.
Are receiving the love.
The healing, the information, the permission.
The healing, the information, the permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
So let's take a deep breath. Information transfer is now complete. Oh, sorry, repeat after me. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
How do you feel now?
Like it would be more comfortable doing so, get on a plane.
Good.
Yeah.
What do you think about that style and that technique?
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
That is
a lot of great wording in there. I might have to borrow some of that.
Yes, you are more than welcome to. You know, we have done many CTT sessions where I psychically tuned into the wording, and it's absolutely watertight. Now, I have made some modifications to George Duisman's original method, actually quite a few modifications. And I lead tapping groups every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central. And it's profound. So we actually use a process in the tapping group called affirmation tail ender. So there's something that we want to manifest, which the other week we did self-love. That was a huge session, by the way. Yeah. And then I psychically tune into the group and we let go and heal. I don't love myself. I don't deserve to be loved. This is impossible. Why should I be loved? I'm this, I'm that. I'm treated badly, I'm bullied, whatever it is.
Right.
And then we do that script and suddenly you'll feel like this massive energy shift. You will feel lighter. And then we'll go through and we keep tapping out the negatives. Now, a lot of times people start feeling sensations, like big sensations. They'll feel their crown tingling. They'll feel their third eye buzzing. And we often get chest and throat tightness. Now, I've worked out that chest and throat tightness is our hesitation to let go of these blockages that are plaguing us.
Yeah.
And so then I'll have to tune into the chest and throat, see what those emotions are. And then we do another round of tapping. We let go and heal. And then eventually we all feel euphoric.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And there's been some profound shifts. A few people have released their addictions, which is huge. You know, as well as I do, addictions is massive. But what is so profound about the CTT? It causes, and I'm not sure well, I do have a theory, but it causes a permanent rewiring of the brain. So oftentimes when people are feeling that tingling sensation, it's a rewiring because you no longer have those emotions that you were feeling because we let them out with the energy and doing the bilateral tapping. So the brain now has to rewire and call on better emotions. And sometimes we're just peeling layer after layer after layer off.
Yep.
And sometimes you uncover more bad emotions and you just have to keep tapping them out until they're not there any longer. Now, you can scale them like how we just did, which is on a scale of 0 to 10. I don't tend to do that in the group so much. But what I like is a lot of healing modalities, they don't cause a permanent rewiring of the brain and the body. Oftentimes, our natural defenses kick back in and we resort back to those old methods. So for me, if I'm honest, like I had a baby right before COVID and I couldn't go to the gym because all the gyms were closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm honest, I would like to lose a few pounds. Now, I could try different healing modalities, but obviously my natural defenses will kick back in. But if I use the CTT method, it causes a permanent rewiring. What do you think of that?
I think it's great if anything that we can, when we can make changes like that. I've had people ask about, addiction. Do you believe that tapping can cure addiction? I said, I think all kinds of things are possible. Mm-hmm. I would be hesitant to tell anybody, if you have no craving now, you're fine.
Right.
Because I've known people who, there are people who have been sober for, decades and then fall off the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But no, I think it's, we what's possible for us is beyond what we can know.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's always exciting looking at, all the various ways that we can, tap into that, that power that we have to heal ourselves and live much more healthy and joyful lives.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming here today to enlighten everyone. And I would just encourage everyone to check out your YouTube channel. What is your YouTube channel, by the way, if you don't mind saying that out for everyone?
Yeah. If you just look up Tap with Brad, that's tapwithbrad.com is my website, and it's my handle on the different social media things, including YouTube. Thank you.
Great. Well, I highly recommend you. So I really appreciate, thank you for being here. And I really appreciate you coming today. And I hope we can have you back again for some more tapping, EFT, CTT, whatever we can do together. So I would really like that.
That'd be fun. Thank you. And thank you for the session. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
And you. Thank you.